I'm calling it the path to making it as an artist or as a creative in today's day and age. And again, I should mention we've been at this for 10 years now, and we have a little bit over 14,000 customers. Overall, I've personally been in this industry for like 15 years, 10 of which have been at art storefronts. And in addition to that, I've been running, these types of forward-facing webinars with creatives just like you guys since 2020, a couple of days a week. And, at this point, I've had the privilege of speaking and hearing from tens of thousands of creatives in, intimate Zoom sessions just like this. And the combination of our customer base and what I've been able to learn on the Zooms sort of gives me some unique insight on what it takes to be successful in this particular business. No matter if you've never sold anything before, or you're a part-timer, you're trying to build a side hustle or a side business, or anything in between. And I think what's equally interesting is not just what you need to be doing and what you need to be focusing on, but the pitfalls and the roadblocks and the speed bumps that seems to hang so many artists and photographers up in today's day and age. And so my goal with today's session, whether you ever decide to sign up for Call Art Storefronts Home, is just to make you aware of sort of this creative world of ours. And this is simply, it's just not information that I find that is wildly disseminated or all in one place, or that most people are talking about. And it's certainly not summed up as succinctly as I plan on doing it today. So my hope is that you'll leave today energized, fired up for what you can start doing as soon as today, as you realize your creative dreams, your aspirations for your business. And my guess is you'll probably be nodding your head to some of the pitfalls and roadblocks that happen. So quick presentation, and then we'll get directly into your questions. And I'm happy to answer, like I said, any and all questions that any of you guys have. And so that is the ball game for today. So I want to start with, why you need to get this right and why you need to get it right now, this minute, okay? And there is a phenomenon with this industry that I've dubbed the Hotel California problem, okay? And it's based on the line from the famous Eagles song that says, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave, okay? It describes perfectly the creative gifting, okay, that you guys have. The desire to create, and ultimately the validation and satisfaction that will only come from selling that art never leaves you guys. Throughout these past 10 years, okay, this situation shows up day in, day out, week in, week out. I routinely get folks from just about every season of their lives, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, sometimes showing up on my webinar saying, how can I grow my art business? How can I figure this thing out creatively, right? And they come seeking answers for, like, what can I do to get this business moving in the right direction? And many have been at it for decades and decades and are still trying to navigate their way there. And, like the Eagles song goes, they've checked out many times over the various different seasons of life, but they're right back here again, trying to figure it out because you can never leave. And so it's this constantly recurring question: how do I get it right? How can I get things right this time so that I'm actually growing and on the right path, right? Like, how can we start taking the steps necessary such that we don't ever have to check out from forward progress and in reality lose the precious time that you can't get back when you were working on the wrong things or, you quit? And I always start with this question, which is like, what size is your restaurant? Okay, what size is your restaurant? And as artists, as creatives, I see this across the board. Pretty much all of you guys have to wear all the hats all the time. You're solopreneurs. You have to create the art. You have to market the art. You have to price and sell the art. Then you have to print and or ship and or print and ship. Any combination there is the art. Then you have to do all the customer service and the bookkeeping and the admin. And you have to consistently do that all year long. And the problem here is you're doing that as a one-man band, right? And a solopreneur, if you like. And the reason I like to use the restaurant analogy is, as artists, you guys are essentially just chefs, right? And if you're a chef, it stands to reason the thing that you should be working on are the dishes and making those incredible so everyone is just lining up around the corner to get them, right? But the problem is that you can't be just the chef. You have to be the receptionist and the maitre d' and the waiter and the sommelier and the bartender and the busboy and doing the dishes after the fact, right? And it stands to reason if you were doing all of those jobs, your restaurant is never going to be able to serve more than a diner or two a night because it's just too much work, right? So, why am I bringing this up? Something has got to give if your restaurant is going to grow, if your art business has got to grow. We have to start taking some of these additional jobs off your hands so you guys can focus on the thing that matters, okay? Creating the art and doing the marketing that only you can do. And I think the restaurant analogy really holds true. So what do most creatives out there do? What have many of you done, I'm sure? It's you do the best you can. Perhaps you try an in-person show or fair or two, or you try to get into a juried show. Or you do a cobble a website together, right? And try to do some marketing or do a collab co-op gallery or try to get into an actual art gallery. And you work at that. But in most cases, though, at a point, the rubber meets the road, things get tough, and artists, photographers, and creatives quit. Does any of that sound familiar? And it feels to me like it's the New Year's resolution, right? This is going to be my year. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to sign up for that gym membership. You sign up in January. You're going 4 days a week in January. March rolls along, and you haven't been once, right? And this just becomes this vicious cycle in this industry. So many artists and photographers fall into this again. And, you create this body of work, okay, because you're inspired and you love creating it. Then not enough work gets done to actually get the work in front of enough eyeballs to find out if it'll actually sell. Then the work stops, you take a break, you get bored with that old body of work, and then you go on and you create the next body of work. And it's just this vicious cycle of rotating through and never getting enough eyeballs onto the work, right? So it's this combination of the restaurant analogy, the New Year's resolution, and my Hotel California line that is the biggest problem that plagues this entire industry. But there's good news in all of it in that there absolutely is a cheat code, okay? There absolutely is a way to sort it, and it's just time and consistency. What have I seen time and time again that if we can keep our customers, and again, 10 years, 14,000 of them, if we can keep them consistent in their efforts and help them in those efforts so that they don't quit for months and years at a time, they'll make it. That's what it is. That's all it takes is just the consistency in doing the work. It's just that simple. Consistent forward progress, and you will win. Your business will continue to grow. You will make it. It is the cheat code. It's like, what's the question I get all the time? Hey, Patrick, what would you say is the number one thing all of your most successful customers have in common? And it's easy. They've been consistent at it, and they've never quit. 99% of artists never stay consistent, so the 1% that do win. It's the cheat code. It's the secret. And the best thing about it that we've learned over the years is it applies equally to absolutely everyone. The artist that's never sold anything. The artist that's only sold a few pieces. The artist trying to go full-time status, and even the artist selling tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. There's no magical number to this notion of time and consistency, okay? You guys are all in different seasons of life. Some of you have an hour or two to spend a week on this. Some of you have 10 hours a week. Some have 30, and every little combination in between. It doesn't matter what the hours are. It just matters that you stay at it consistently without ever stopping, right? That's the only thing that matters. Some seasons of life, you can only spend a little bit of time. Life happens. Other seasons of life, you can spend more. But the beautiful thing that I continue to see happen is that we are emotional creatures as artists, okay? And as you're humming along with your 1 hour or 2 hours a week that you can spend on this, you're going to get some sort of a win because you're doing the work, and your emotional reservoir is going to get filled up. And when that reservoir gets filled up, you end up spending more hours, and it just starts feeding on itself. Momentum is an absolutely real thing. So how to become a successful artist or a photographer, a creative, is a complex problem, and we like breaking it down into the commensurate pieces, okay? And it goes back to this restaurant analogy, and it informs and underpins everything that we do as a business at Art Storefronts. It's how can we take as many things off our customers' plates so that they have the time to simply create? How can we help empower the folks that don't have 10 hours a week to work on their business? How can we give you guys as many options as possible for whatever season of life you're in, such that the consistency is maintained? And that's quite literally everything that we do as a business. And so I'm going to highlight some of these features that we have, go through them quickly, explain some of them to you, but understand the underpinning theory of all of them is, how do we take these jobs away from you so you're just the chef in that restaurant, right? How do we get it down to that baseline level? So number one, a feature-rich website. Our sites are dedicated to creatives. They have all the bells, all the whistles, all the features, because that's what we're set up to do from scratch and have been for a long, long time. And, over the course of the 10 years, we continue to make iterations to our website product. But there's really nothing out there out there on the internet. And over the years, we've been reviewed tremendously positively, right? We were reviewed over 2,000 times on Trustpilot, Facebook, and Google reviews. You can check out. They're all public. They're all online. When you look at our competitors, though, okay, they all have lousy ratings. Every single solitary one of them, right? And you look at this, and you're like, what's going on here? How are you guys doing such a good job, and they're all doing such a bad job? Is it that their products are bad or that their companies are bad? And no, absolutely it's not. It turns out setting up a website is a really difficult thing to do. Maintaining it is a difficult thing to do, okay? And that's why, starting about 3 years ago now, I think, we start building the websites for you. You do not want to learn how to speak HTML, CSS, JavaScript, GoDaddy, or plugins or anything else. It's just not a good use of creative's time, so we eliminate it. We build the entire website for you. You don't have to worry about any of this technical stuff. Our team solves all the hurdles for you. I go back to those reviews. They're all reviewed in terrible capacity because website technology is difficult and nobody wants to deal with it and nobody wants to stay up to date with it. And you don't have the time to. You need to be creating if the business is going to go somewhere, right? So I love that part of it. And it's one less headache for creatives when we build it for you. And your website gets live in a much shorter fashion, okay, which is incredible. We also have taken it one step further, and we've come up with this product called the Tech Assistant, which means you will never have to update your website ever again, period, okay? If you need a change, you need to add images, remove images, raise the prices, add a new gallery, update your artist statement, put in a press section, you tell us what to do, we'll do it for you. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to do a thing. You don't have to be techie. We will take care of it. And it's an option. If you feel techie, you want to do that, that's great. We got it covered. But if you don't, we can take care of it for you. And you can go on this plan, off this plan at any point in time. If you're busy for a season of life and you don't want to touch it, great. If you want to get off it, you can do that. So it's a wonderful option, we think. We've also really, really nailed print on demand. And print on demand is one of the greatest things that's ever happened to this industry, as far as I'm concerned. And it works equally well for merchandise as it does for art prints. Summarized succinctly, once your images are uploaded, in one click, you choosing a vendor. We have a vendor on the West Coast called Bay Photo, huge company. Another one on the East Coast called Graphic Dimensions on the print side of the house. And then we have a company called Guten that takes care of the merch side of the house. But the way that it works, you get an order, you get paid, the printer gets paid, the printer prints it, boxes it, ships it, the system sends out all the emails, and you don't lift a finger. You don't need to get out of bed. You don't need to be in the country. You don't need to be anywhere, and the options are myriad. And I'm, as someone that, 45 years old, in my day, it was hold inventory, have minimum orders, right? Ship them out yourself. The fact that this is handled for you without having to lift a finger is us effectively being able to take away another one of those jobs. You don't have to interface with the printer. You don't have to send tracking numbers. You don't have to drive down there and go look at prints. All of it is taken care of here. One more way to make you consistent in your work and in your marketing. Let's talk about support. We're with you every step of the way in all the ways imaginable. Yes, chat. Yes, custom videos. Yes, tickets. Yes, phone calls. Yes, personal Zooms. Yes, group Zooms. We do it all. And if you read any of our reviews, the number one thing that we are reviewed for is how good our support system is. And it's there with you every single solitary step of the way. And again, I go back and I show that like how negative our competition has been reviewed. And again, the reason is not because those guys have crappy products. There's some great website products in there. There just are, okay? It's the fact that they don't have good support and the fact that they don't have community, which I'll get to in a second. But you're going to run into issues, okay? You're going to run into tech headaches, and you don't have the time to be searching forums, searching Google, searching YouTube, filling out forms, a hope and a prayer that it's going to get thick. It needs to be done, and it needs to be simple. And if we can do that, more time for you to create art, more time to do the marketing. And another thing that I've learned along this journey is we've solved for the now what, okay? Let me talk about the now what. There are a myriad of options out there where you can go get a website, guys. They're all over the place. There's vendors up and down. Some are free, some are super cheap, some are this, some are that, some are great, whatever. None of them solve for the now what. And now what is, okay, great. My website's up. It's live. It's completed. Now what? What do I do? Do I send an email? Do I run a sale? Do I announce that my store is open? How do I get the word out? How do I attract eyeballs? There's not any of the rest of them that concretely and conclusively solve for the now what. What are you going to do now that the website is live? The website is just the ticket to the game, quite frankly. Once the art is up there, that's all well and good, but many of you have had websites, and what happens if you don't do anything after the fact? Nothing. No one sees it. There's no orders. There's no sales. It's just a pretty portfolio that's on the web that's no one's seen. So you got to solve for the now what, okay? And one of the greatest ways that we solve for the now what is with this product that we call office hours. And we run about 9 of these a week, okay? And they are internal Zoom sessions. Oh, it's already running. They're internal Zoom sessions just like this that we run with our customers. Why is it just running?
How do I capitalize on these people who are interacting with me on my personal page?
But what I want you to do in that custom artwork strategy is promote the pet portraits to that audience.
So how is it that the print cost is paid or charged?
How wide do we go in terms of niches?
Do you have any advice or playbook for showing your...
You're going to end up having those questions week in, week out for the rest of your art selling career. Week 1, month 1, year 1, year 2, year 5, year 10. There's going to be issues with Facebook. There's going to be issues with Instagram. There's going to be issues with email. You're going to wonder about SEO. You're going to wonder what's the best pricing strategy for this in-person show or fair you're doing. You're going to wonder how to negotiate with a gallery, what the best booth setups are. Should you advertise in this magazine? What merchandise items should you sell? Should you be running a sale? These questions never, ever, ever go away. And if you don't have a community built in, if you don't have this support built in, week out, that is why the artists and photographers quit. That is why all of these reviews are so negative. Because after the site is live is when the game actually starts. If you have that support, the entire ball game changes. You have somewhere you can go, instead of being frustrated and pulling your hair out of your head and searching forums and trying to figure it out. All of that is just going to be good to go right out of the gates. And it's just such a powerful thing. I would go as far to say it has probably become the #1 bit of secret sauce that we have as a business. The fact that you will be supported for the rest of your art selling life, any and all questions you have that you need to get answered is going to happen. And in addition to that, you're going through this same journey of trying to figure this out, trying to figure out how to market, trying to understand social media sites, trying to send emails with a large group of your peers that is suffering just like you on learning how to do all this stuff for the first time, right? It's hard. It's hard. Like, where do you go otherwise? And so I believe it's really evolved into the secret sauce. We talk about taking jobs off your plate. Our next iteration is the thing that we call Copilot. It's now morphing into a thing that we call the Marketing Hub. But we are now doing a portion of the marketing for our customers as well. Because we have all of your images on a website that we have control of, we have entire control of the store, and we have all of your contacts because we database those for you. We are able to then integrate your Facebook, then integrate your Instagram account, and do marketing for you on your behalf consistently week in and week out all year long. We're able to execute sales and do things like pick a featured item on your store, run a sale on it, create a coupon code, email your list, post on the socials that you're about to have the sale, go through with the sale. After the sale's done, wind all that stuff back and turn your site back to normal. We're able to do that without you lifting a finger. And the feature's available to everybody in a different package. Sometimes we include packages depending on what specials we have, but it's one of those things you can use it or you cannot use it, okay? And essentially, the way that I like to think about it, the analogy that I like to give is like, it's no different than you owning a retail gallery and you needing to be in that retail gallery and talk to every person that comes in, right? And show off the work and show the prices and do that. You wouldn't do that as an artist. You would have a gallerist do that for you. Well, Copilot is essentially your gallerist. It's working for you week in, week out. It's rotating through your collection. It's posting to the socials, and it's making sure, back to this consistency thing, that you'll never not be consistent. You guys, you'll never not be consistent. So that's a small tinge of our features, and we have so much more. And again, all of it's designed, okay, to just keep creatives, save creatives time and keep them consistent, right? Keep them on that forward trajectory and still going on that path. And we believe that's essentially what is going to determine, like, you know, whether you're successful and keep going forward and make it. And as a final, one of the things that we've learned over the course of these years is that there's no one path that works for everyone. We have an insanely diverse customer base, okay? We have customers that are selling in galleries primarily and then doing some marketing. We have customers that own their own galleries, which, by the way, is a trend that I absolutely love. That's like, we have some people that are doing extremely well with that when you own the gallery yourself. We have customers that are road and show fair warriors. Road warriors, I guess would be the right way to say it. Some that are doing 3 to 5 shows a year, some that are doing 30 shows a year, okay? We have some customers that are mostly selling direct. We have some customers that just sell originals. We have some customers that sell the originals, the prints, and the merch. We have some that use us for their printing. We have some that do their own printing. There's a total mixed bag from top to bottom about who uses what, when, where, and for what reason. And any combination is available to you, right? Our job is to say, hey, here are all the resources that we have. We have playbooks, we have education, we have training, we have teaching, we have templates on no matter what you're going to do. If you're going to do an in-person Thayer show, I have one of the most comprehensive, incredible guides to in-person Thayer shows you've ever seen. It completely changes the game. Almost no artists and photographers know about these tricks and are using them. So we love, and I should also mention, we have a ton of artists that are teaching people to create art. And painting in one capacity or another. We have artists that are teaching photography. We have artists that are taking people into national parks and teaching them how to do spectral nighttime photography. It doesn't matter to us. I have never met a revenue source, as long as it's legal, that I don't like for creatives. Our job is to say, hey, you guys have got a creative talent. Let's get at this, figure out the best ways to monetize this creative talent and do it. So you can do any of it, some of it, anything in between, all completely up to you. So that is sort of what we do, who we are in a nutshell. Now, to see individual plans and to go through a tour of the entire software, we do a demo process. We can talk about that. I can have someone call you. There's forms to fill out on the site. I really do find, especially the different revenue sources that are out there and the different ways that the creatives are figuring out to make them work is staggering. And I feel like that's really on like a massive expansion moment at current time. And, I routinely see, and I use this perfect example, but I think sorry, I didn't realize I'm not on camera. I routinely see this as like, because no artist ever really market fully and consistently, blanket statement, but mostly true. You're like, I don't know what my niche is. I'm all over the place. I create different subject matter materials. I can't figure out which one's going to be me, right? Then they sign up, and for the first time, they have the encouragement, the motivation, and the guidance on how to do marketing, where to do marketing. They're going to do it consistently. And then they're utterly, totally, and completely surprised at what ends up happening. Like I had a gal sign up just recently, and her name's Selma, and she would come on to this workshop, and she'd be like, my Instagram is really, really growing fast. And I'm like, what do you mean your Instagram is really, really growing fast? She's like, yeah, I'm up to 15,000. I'm like, 15,000? I'm like, what are you doing? Go to investigate it. She's so good at painting clouds, okay, that everyone is tuning into her tutorials of painting clouds. And I'm like, Selma, I know you want to sell your art, and I'm not saying you can't sell your art, but you need to start selling classes immediately, teaching people how to paint clouds. And she's doing that now, right? In like, how was that a potential revenue source 10 years ago to be able to build an audience like that? And all of a sudden you're selling weekly Zoom sessions on just teaching people how to paint clouds. So I think being open to like what the market tells you in terms of revenue sources and having these various different items is so important. It can be so insanely beneficial. But anyway, Q&A. You can ask anything about anything. It's all fair game. Anything about what we do at Art Storefronts. Jan, I saw you throw a question in the chat. I'll deal with that. How do you ask a question? If you're one of the brave ones that has your camera on, you can do the old school hand raise. I'll see that. I can bring you on. For everyone else, at the bottom of the Zoom window, if you click either the More button or somewhere on here, there's a way to raise your hand digitally speaking. And I think it's like raise hand button. And I got you, Guthrie. I can grab you if your hand's up. And that lets me know you have a question, and I can bring you on. If you want to turn your camera on, great. If you don't want to turn your camera on, that's A-okay too. Doesn't matter to me, and you can throw questions into the chat too. So I usually just need the brave one to start. Was that you, Guthrie? I can't tell if you're blocking your camera. If you're like, yes, I have a question. Okay, I think you have a question, so we'll start with you. You'll need to unmute too, Guthrie.
So I have a question.
Yeah, go.
I unmuted me.
Yep.
Okay. This is my question. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm an author.
Okay.
And can I successfully, and I need a way to do this. I'm getting depressed. I'm getting depressed. I don't want to do anything anymore. You know what I mean? So yeah, I need this. I need to be able to do it. I do have how can I can you help
yes,
the artists that's all spread out upon different media?
Yes, I know exactly where you're at with that question. And by the way, Guthrie, I stopped your camera because you have low bandwidth, so I just want to get your audio. So that was me. Anyway,
okay.
Under no circumstances is it having multiple and disparate interests and things that you want to sell and do a problem. It's just not. One of two things happens. You've likely never marketed any of all of the above consistently enough to find out which one's your winner. When you start doing so, you're going to end up finding out which one's a winner. And I've seen both scenarios emerge. And let me explain that. In some cases, 80%, there's this thing called Pareto's law, which is the 80-20 law. In some cases, after a creative that has a bunch of different interests is like marketed for a year, they find out that 80% of their revenue is coming from 20% of the work. If you get into that scenario, then it might be a situation where it's like, look, the world is telling you to go all in on your music or go all in on your art or go all in on your photography, whatever it is. But I've also seen the opposite be the case, which means at the end of the year, a little bit of everything sells. And what we've sort of learned throughout that whole process is that there are certain artists that have tight and defined niches, and there's certain that don't. There's certain that just sell across the board. And again, what you learn is that art creative sales are 50-50. They're 50% the creation and they're 50% the creator. Who is this person? What makes them tick? What makes them interesting? What are they into? What do they do when they're not creating art? Why are people getting bonded to them? And it's different every single solitary time. So you can absolutely do it. And our websites are primarily geared to sell wall art, yes, but they're also just e-commerce shops. I have customers selling everything under the sun, all on their website: books, CDs, music, classes, tours, everything under the sun. So you can absolutely do all of the above.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right.
Oh, did somebody else say something? I don't know. Who else, guys? Questions, comments, concerns? Can be anything about anything. I should also mention, if you're one of the ones watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, I can see your comments and I can bring you in if you've got one as well. But who else, guys? Question can be anything about anything, of course. I know it's Monday. Everyone's a little shy on Monday. Long weekend. We're all tired. Yep, I got you, James. Go ahead.
How about when it comes to prints? Because I have you know, just my paintings are wall-sized paintings, right? They're big.
Yeah.
So how do you go about prints? Like, do you get a percentage of the prints, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it depends. One, let's just talk about how we get it done, right?
Okay.
You have every option available to you, right? You can use our printers, you can use your printer. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to us. And one is all automatically fulfilled. The other one we call self-fulfill. Obviously, like when an order comes in, you would have to send it to your printer. They would print it and deal with that, right? On huge ones, well, I should say our printer on the West Coast is Bay Photo. Okay, we have another one on the East Coast called Graphic Dimension. They're not like a forward. They're like it's not a retail shop you walk into. Bay Photo is a huge one. So we can do diptychs and triptychs and big ones, but if you're super customized on how huge they are, you know, you might want to use your local one for that. But you can't just sell those things, because one of the things that I've learned is like not many people have walls like that are that big, that are that huge, you know, like corporate, yeah. So my point is not that you can't sell the huge ones. I love the huge ones. My point is we want to get some smaller ones into your lineup too, so you can acquire more customers with more frequency. You know what I mean? Not just the huge ones.
But do you make more money like selling prints, or do you just sell that one painting, you know, alone? Is that more like? There's
no one way that works the same for everyone. But here's what I would say generally. I find in this business, the number of new customers acquired per year to be one of the most predictive of the future revenue potential of that business. Okay. There's only 3 ways to grow an art business: acquire new customers, increase the AOV, average order value. Easiest way to say that is just raise prices. And then the third way is get repeat customers to come back and buy again. And the fatal flaw that like I see some artists make is, let's just say you're just doing originals. You're like, I'm not selling anything else. I'm just doing my originals. They're $5,000 a piece. That's what I do. Okay. Right. Wonderful. At the end of the year, what have you sold? 6 or 7 of them, right? Now that same artist, okay, if they open themselves up to prints, if they open themselves up to merch, something that's not wall art related, something that's like $100 and less, we're looking at the end of the year, and at the end of the year, you've acquired 75 customers. Okay, well, guess what? That's 75 customers that you're now working on getting back versus 5 or 6. You know what I mean? And it doesn't like, having that other stuff doesn't cannibalize the high end of the business in the slightest. Everyone think like, oh, it does. It doesn't. Like, the whole ball game, okay, is about acquiring as many new customers as you can, regularly marketing to them so they know you exist, and then growing that list. And if like from 5 years from now, 7 years from now, instead of marketing to 35 purchased customers, you have 500, dude, your business is going to be in a significantly different place, right? A significantly different place. That the collector phenomenon in this business is the greatest thing an artist or a photographer could jack into. And a collector, I always cite this guy's book because I love him. It's for free, by the way, for those of you guys that have Spotify, like as an audiobook, but it's by Weiland. He's the whale guy that does the huge murals. Most would say, I think he's in the top 5 best-selling artists. He's probably number 1 or number 2 in the United States because his model, he's got so many galleries. But he goes in depth in that book about, like, he defines a collector as someone that purchases in upwards of 7+ pieces of art from him during the course of a lifetime. Sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 50. He sends them personalized Christmas cards. He'll occasionally go onto social media and like their posts. Why? Because he knows it's the bread and butter of his business. They just keep coming back and back and back and back and back and buying again. And if you don't acquire the customer in the first place, how are they going to come back? They're gone, right? Like, if I find you on social media and I'm like, dude, this guy's got skills. Okay, let me look at his work. Okay, it's a 7 foot by 8 foot. Okay, I'm living in a 3-bedroom house with my children. Okay, I couldn't even hang that thing on the garage. It's so big. If you don't have anything for me to buy, I'm probably gone. Okay, and the odds say I'm going to go watch cat videos and never see you again. You know, so yeah. So it's
right. Okay, cool. Yeah. I have another question, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I want to know what the hell's going on with this ceiling. It looks amazing in here.
Oh, so these are my frames for my paintings. I have so many of them. I put them on top of my kitchen.
Oh, dude, it looks awesome.
And then I just made them into like a little. Yeah, they're everywhere. They're underneath my bed. They're underneath my kitchen.
Yeah, it looks cool, dude. It looks really cool in the Zoom. Yeah.
So yeah, but my other question was how about having like, do you help with, say I do want to open a gallery like up in public because I'm in New York City, like
yes.
Do you help with that too?
Yeah.
Or?
It's funny you say that because I'm literally putting a group together internally of all the customers that own their own individual galleries. And I'm telling you, the trend is so rad, you guys. It is absolutely amazing. I keep learning more and more. Like I've been doing these interviews recently, and I'm gonna send this to absolutely everybody. I'm pulling it up so I can share the video. Just bear with me. Actually, give me a minute to share the video. But anyway, I've got one customer, okay, in a town in Texas, population 92. That's like cranking like $300,000 or $400,000 a year out of this thing, working 4 days a week just because he's got a gallery where there's a barbecue joint next to it, and they have like antique shows in this town called Round Top, Texas. It's like, it's amazing. Like I've never met a revenue source I don't like, but I don't like the gallery model on the face of it because of the 50% haircut and because you don't know who's purchasing the work, right? Because then you can't acquire collectors because who are they? You don't even know who they are. But opening your own gallery, and by the way, you can do that in like a collab environment today because retail has been so crushed. You could do it in a pop-up environment where you get a spot for a month or two and give it a shot. I'm very, very pro artists doing that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. I'm done.
Okay. Great question. Great questions though. And don't worry, you guys. I see the ones in the chat. I usually just prioritize the hands and then I'll go in there too. So let me know if you have any more. The ones that have videos on hands. No, okay. And I'm gonna show this video because I think you guys will really get a kick out of it. So Melissa's saying, what is Melissa saying? Hold on. Oh, question. I'm just going to unmute you. There you are, Melissa. I got you. You just have to click the mic icon, Melissa, if it's here on the phone, I think. Gotcha.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can.
So what's the best way to, like...
Oh, your connections. Melissa, I'm gonna kill your video and keep your audio.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. You have low bandwidth. Yeah. So I killed your camera. You're asking what's the best way to watermark your photos?
Yeah, because like all my photos are up on Instagram, and they could easily just
Yeah.
screenshot and
we make it really, really easy. Our software can do it for you. There's a bunch of different softwares that can do it for you. I personally recommend that you don't do it because
that's what I heard.
Yeah, because there's a couple of reasons for it, right? And the guy who's the head of Instagram will actively tell you that if Instagram sees a post, your image, and it has a logo in it, they don't show it to as many people as they would. They don't like logos on any of the images at all. And so when you know that, you're like, okay, well, am I really going to watermark everything? And, with AI software now, like anyone can pull any watermark off of an image in 0.6 seconds. So it's the world that we live in. No one's going to steal your art. Don't worry. Don't let it bother you. The watermarks are the least of your worries.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I would say.
That was my question.
Okay. Thanks, Melissa. So Blake's asking, how does the buying public find art storefronts and consequently my site? Yeah, so we're not a marketplace, Blake. It's not like everyone uploads their art to art storefronts and they're on the art storefront store. Every one of our customers has their own website that is their URL, their brand, their everything, right? And so we teach you how to drive traffic to that all year long. So that's like literally why we exist. And we do it a bunch of different ways, but we're very, very hands-on. We're essentially, like, everyone thinks of us like, oh, just another website solution, but we're part that, and we're part like, undergraduate university. And we literally just teach our customers all year long how to grow in our business. So that's what I would say for that question. All right, Patty's saying, can a website feature two artists like a husband and wife? Oh yeah, all day long. I like the husband and wife model. I don't necessarily like the co-op model because I think the co-op model is a little sticky. But if it's husband and wife and one is doing more marketing than the other, that's going to be okay. You're husband and wife, right? But it's like when three people team up and they try to start their own gallery and one person's doing all the marketing, then it ends up becoming a big fight. So yes, husband and wife can absolutely do it. We've got some people that are doing either families. I got your hand, James. I'll get you again. So you can do any of the above in that capacity all day long. That's all good. All right, let me go back to James. And then I want to show off this video. You guys will get a kick out of this thing. All right, hold on. There you are. Good.
Okay, so my other question was, say I want to obviously I'm a starving artist and I don't have money to pay for my paintings and for my paint and my stuff. Is there a way that I can fundraise and have people donate to my cause, or is it part of the whole thing too? Like, can I send people to my page and people donate money to me?
Yeah, you can, and we don't have like a full blown Kickstarter mode. But what sometimes people will do is I'll just throw items in the store that say support me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and do it that way. But I like it to a certain extent. The Patreon / subscription revenue model. I know it does work for some creatives in some capacities. It's not usually something that happens a bunch in just the art world, because you kind of need to deliver something, right? In order for that to happen. And so normally they support you by buying the work because they love it, right? So yeah, that's what I would say. But I do like the idea that, sort of commensurate with what I was saying earlier, we just keep adding new features. We realize in this crazy world that we live in where everyone is just on this all day long, and if you story tell on this, you can get their attention. We want to be an outfit that facilitates just about every single solitary revenue model that exists. I just did a podcast episode that's talking about, and by the way, this is the podcast. If you guys haven't subscribed, I recommend you do. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's called the Art Marketing Podcast. But anyway, I did this episode about cell phone cases because the data on cell phone cases is staggering. If you're about our age, So if you're like, 40 and up, assuming you might be younger than that, I don't know. You average 150 pickups a day of this. And I know because screen time tracks it. If you're younger, you're like 200 times a day. And the thought that you could start selling your art on a cell phone case and people pick those things up 250 times a day, that's insane. Wow. No one looks at the art that much, right? So one of the things that we flirted with doing is a subscription service where like I come into the shop and I give you like $500 and you send me a new cell phone case every month. Total surprise on which piece it's going to be. Don't know. And you just subscribe to it, right?
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's just cool, and it's like you talk about like, well, what about that subscription where people can donate me? You could be like, support me and I'll send you a cell phone case every month.
Oh wow.
And
that's
then
great.
Yeah, and if they like it, great. If not, like give it to a kid or give it to someone else or like swap them in and out. But we have to cultivate as many of these different revenue sources as we can. And why wouldn't we, right? Like, all of them can potentially be viable depending on how you're running your business.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. James asking, what is the success rate in promoting or making a successful landscape photography website? Yeah, we get so many of these various different questions, like, that are asking for like what a general trend is for this, or, how quickly do people pay back their investment, or what's the average income and everything else. And the equations are so insanely multivariate that it's really, really hard to answer that. Meaning some people are full-time, some people are part-time, some people don't want to do anything and just want to have a pretty website up. Some people are working at it very, very hard. Some people are really, really native to social media marketing and marketing in general. Some people are absolutely terrible at it. Some people are better artists than others. And so, saying like, what is the success rate in promoting and making a successful landscape photography website? Like, there's no roadmap or benchmark or magic formula. Not for anybody, under any circumstances. If anyone tells you that, they're lying. They're selling snake oil. Run for the hills. So what I can say is that I believe that we have the best set of tools that exist on the planet to help artists and photographers get there. A lot of it's going to come down to how good is your subject matter material, how good are you at marketing it, how good are you at storytelling? Do you have individual landscape photos that really, really resonate with whoever for whatever reason? And it's totally a mixed bag. What I can say is that, especially with like landscape / nature photos, most people drop the ball on the storytelling piece. And in my estimation, that's what totally sets one photographer apart from another. And I use this amazing example. I think I have it in here somewhere. Let me find it. Let me get my screen sharing because I want to show both of these things. Hold on, I have small children that come in here on the weekends, especially. They're mine, so it's not like I'm complaining, and they just love messing with all of my buttons. So let me see if I can get this up. This is just going to take me a second. Bear with me. So I want to show this to you, James, because most people, this is not obvious in the slightest. Okay. And everybody like loves taking the great photos. Very, very few people really master the storytelling portion of it. Where in the world did I put that thing? For some reason, I think it's in here. Okay, it's not in here. I'm gonna find it in just one second. I wanted to show you guys this gallery thing now, and let me know how the sharing on this goes. All right, guys, Patrick. So I've been doing a bunch of these like customer interviews. And this is one of them. This is the guy that has this gallery. His name's John. You can see his Instagram handle is like @HumpleDonkeyStudio. But it's amazing. He pays $3,000 a month for this facility, and he's like going to kind of show it. And he's got everything in here, right? He's got probably like 3,000 prints. He's got a selection of clothing and jewelry, some of which is provided by us, some of which is not. G clays of every single solitary size. He's like, owning the gallery has really forced him to like create a lineup that is really compelling to any tourist that will walk into a shop, right? Or whatever you want to call it, antiquer or whatever you call the people that go to this town. And he's got his original room in here, and it's like amazing.
I predominantly frame all of my originals. This is quite a large one here.
But I'll send you guys this episode.
Round top, very important.
Yeah, Round Top, Texas, whatever. So he's walking through the shop, and he like talks about all the trade craft that he has going on in here and how well it's going. And he started like a tiny little like 300 300 square foot place. And then I always show the end of this because it's really, really funny. But I was doing this interview. He's like, by the way, I'm the only guy in here today that's working this. And I'm about to have some people come in. So check it out.
Howdy. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm doing a video conference. And I'm like, well, I got to tell people what's happening. So welcome to Humble Donkey.
All right. Hey.
Have y'all been here before?
No.
Well, first time. So I'm John. I'm the artist. We have 2 floors of fun. Stairs are that way. We have free wine and beer that way. You see any apparel you like? We got a dressing room over there. And we have jewelry here. There's no spending limit. So have fun. And